want to talk about something controversial this morning. So before I say anything, I want to ask everybody to keep your ears open and please don't take what I say and hear what you want to hear or get sidetracked thinking about things that you may already be thinking, but please actually listen to what I'm trying to say about it and the message that I'm trying to get across. The reason I preface that is because a lot of times with controversial things, hot topics, I do it too. You hear one thing and suddenly your mind goes elsewhere and you start thinking other things instead of what someone's trying to get across, which is actually kind of what I want to talk about. I want to address the Charlie Kirk murder. I think it's appropriate to bring it up in this setting because it has a lot to do with our faith, our beliefs, not just our politics, and what people outside of our faith and our beliefs think about our faith and beliefs, which is in line with kind of what my message has been over the last at least year and a half, 2 years, what I've come to realize. You've heard me say over and over that I've realized that when Jesus taught that we're supposed to act a certain way, do certain things, that's not about our salvation. And what I've come to understand is the reason that is, one is once we're saved, we're supposed to want to do those things. We're supposed to want to walk like Christ, as opposed to doing it so that we can earn His good graces. We all understand that. We get His grace through a gift, not through what we do. But I think the reason we're still told to walk after Him is because then we become that light on a lampstand, and that is our way, I think a more powerful way of our spreading the gospel. Not going out and telling people to walk like Jesus, but going out and showing people that we do. So we're supposed to try to do it. And so that's what I've been wrapping my mind around. Like I said, at least the last year and a half is really since I've dug into that idea when I study the Bible and how everything in the New Testament is that I approach that. And so why I think about it with this particular topic, this morning he's being honored in Arizona. I think you all know the big funeral memorial celebration, but also kind of a political rally. Politicians there speaking. And it says a lot about a lot of things. But he was celebrated as a person, I think why he's being celebrated in our popular culture, especially today, is for a couple of reasons. One, he was a patriot and very pro-United States of America, obviously, and about promoting American values and all those things. One of the strongest things that he was known for was the business that he built around that, which was about debate. He went on college campuses. I remember when I first saw him on YouTube, like 10 years ago or something, and I started watching some of his videos. It's really interesting. I went through the experience when I was in college of having conservative ideals. I went away to UC Santa Cruz, one of the most liberal campuses in America, and experienced how suppressed some of my views were in that environment. And he challenged that because a lot of college campuses, they promote more liberal, progressive views, and a lot of them outright attack Christianity. And so he was a voice against that, and that's how he gained in popularity. But one thing that I became concerned about over time when I would follow some of his stuff and watch was some of the things. Before I say anything else, I want to make clear, I'm not disparaging the man. or what happened. I think it's horribly sad what happened, regardless of who he was, or anytime somebody is murdered. It's terrible and it's sad. But his is especially sad because of what everyone said he stood for, and it was freedom of speech and open debate. And he did. He was actually killed in an open forum when he was there promoting, let's talk about ideas. And as far as we know, it sounds like the reason he was killed was because of the things that he was preaching and that he said he believed. And that is, as far as American values go, that's about as anti-American as you can get, killing somebody for speaking in an open forum about what they believe, no matter how much you disagree or agree with. And that's why it's risen to so much national prominence. But where my concern with his preaching was the same that I have with other politicians. A lot of the things that he claimed were Christian or teachings of Christ, or were supported by teachings of Christ, were not. And that's not my opinion. Now, my opinion about him, whether or not he was a Christian, I have no way of knowing. As far as I know, he was. I pray to God he was saved and had his personal relationship with Christ, and that's between him and our God. And I really hope that for him and for his family. But as far as some of the things that he said were teachings of Christ, they were not. That's not an opinion, that's just black and white. If you disagree with me, open up your New Testament and read it, and you will see things, listen to some of the videos. He said some things that are not in line with what Jesus said, and he said that they were. Now I have a problem with that. It raises red flags for me for a couple of reasons. I would say he said lots of things that over the years that I'm sure I agreed with a lot of it. He promoted a lot of biblical law. He did not promote a lot of Jesus Christ's teachings. His open forum idea of debate, well, it was great as far as American values go. Encourage people to talk instead of fight physically. You know, he would challenge people. He'd say, prove me wrong. Let's have a talk about it. But then he would turn it into, in a lot of situations, if you watch videos, if you disagree with me, you're an idiot. Or he made money, frankly, off of fighting people. He made old people angry at these liberal, radical young people. And then he sold ads on his internet. He was a TV star. Nowadays it's internet star, but he made money off of doing that. That's why his videos were edited to show the times when he was right and not include the times where somebody proved him wrong about something. You can see other videos that people posted on, they finally over the years started, other people recorded him, and you can watch when he lost an argument. But he didn't put those on his show because that didn't sell into his ad space. Now, again, I'm not trying to disparage the man. He has the right to do that, and he promoted a lot of good things and freedom of speech and all of that. But in doing so, he created a lot of division. And my problem in that is that is not Christian-like. That is not the teaching of Christ. I'm not saying he's not a Christian. I'm not saying he didn't also teach other Christian things. As far as I know, it sounds like he did and he was. But it affected my faith and what I believe my God wants me to do, wants us to do, in two ways. One, I think he convinced a lot of Christians that some things that were not Christian were Christian. And in doing so, he led Christians astray to this day and long after his death, because of how popular he was and the ideas that he promoted. It's going to last generations. I believe that, I don't know if it was for personal profitability or maybe because he personally misunderstood some things, or he was just trying to get his own point of view across, but he said things that were not Christian, did things that were not Christian, and told people that they were. And that led Christians astray.
Can you tell us what the things were? that he said that we're not Christians?
Well, sure, let me,
I
so,
mean, Jesus said stuff and they wanted to stone him. He said stuff and they shot him.
I understand, and I'm not saying anything against that, Steve. I'll start by, I'm going to read this article because I think it puts some of this into words a little bit better than what I'm trying to say that somebody wrote. So, first I want to read just 1 Peter 3, 10 through 12. But before I get there, the other thing I wanted to say, so that's one way I felt, is that he led some Christians astray. And on the other side of it, I think he turned some people that are not Christians further away from Christianity. Because of that idea of, if you disagree with me, you're an idiot, instead of saying, come to my side. It was, Jesus taught not to push people away. He said to welcome people. You love your enemy. You don't say your enemy's an idiot. You love your enemy and tell them to come join me. And I don't know if he loved his enemy or not, but I'm going to start with 1 Peter 3 and 10. For whoever would love life and see good days must keep their tongue from evil and their lips from deceitful speech. They must turn from evil and do good. They must seek peace and pursue it. For the eyes of the Lord are on the righteous, and his ears are attentive to their prayer. But the face of the Lord is against those who do evil. So this is the article written by, as a member of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. I came across this when I was reading about this. Her name's Shelby Johnson. She's a student at MIT, and she's a member of Seventh-day Adventist Church. And she submitted this article to this magazine. She wrote, and again, I'm using this just because I think she says some things that she does a better job explaining some of the things that I think I'm trying to. Since the shocking and tragic murder of Charlie Kirk, the American white ring political activist fatally shot while debating with students at Utah Valley University, his first stop on a fall tour of college campuses, I've observed endless discourse concerning what his life and death mean for the U.S. In heated debates on social media platforms, I have seen Kirk characterized in different and often opposite ways. Many people memorialize him as a free speech advocate and a man of God who died standing up for his values and what he believed. Others, disturbed by his rhetoric and strong views, view him as hateful, divisive, or a poor example of a Christian. As I have seen think pieces from both sides, I cannot help but wonder, why are there such vastly different interpretations of what it means to live like Christ? If Kirk was truly a man of God and a martyr for the faith, why are there so many videos, including those on his own social media pages, of him making hateful, divisive statements, demonizing minority groups that are marginalized in our society? In the wake of his death, it's hard to ignore the endless videos, quotes, and statements of his resurfacing on social media. Although I was already familiar with Kirk and his inflammatory comments, even I was shocked by some of the things he said publicly. On his show, The Charlie Kirk Show, Kirk referenced several black women: Michelle Obama, attorney, former First Lady of the U.S., Joy Reid, American political commentator and TV host, Ketanji Brown Jackson, Associate Justice of the Supreme Court of the U.S., and Sheila Jackson Lee, lawyer and former U.S. representative, concerning affirmative action. Kirk stated, "You do not have the brain processing power to otherwise be taken really seriously. You had to go steal a white person's slot to go be taken somewhat seriously." Furthermore, on multiple occasions, including on his show and public appearances, a Jubilee surrounded episode, Kirk said black people were better during the Jim Crow era. Jim Crow era was when there was segregation, when you had to sit at the back of the bus, when you weren't allowed to sit at a Woolworth's diner. So he's saying black people were better when it was like that. Those were his words, you can look them up. And shared that he held disdain for the Civil Rights Act of 1964. That was the law that said you cannot do those things, that overthrew all of that. It said you cannot make black people use different bathrooms. You cannot refuse to hire a black person. You cannot refuse to rent your house to a black person. Kirk said that was a mistake. He believed that led to modern day diversity, equity, and inclusion policies which he disagreed with. On his show in 2024, as well as during other appearances, he encouraged the idea of the Great Replacement, a white nationalist theory. Also on the Charlie Kirk Show in 2024, he shared, death penalty should be public, should be quick, should be televised. I think at a certain age, it's an initiation. Now, whether or not you agree with the death penalty, I don't think you can disagree what Jesus said about it in the Bible. That's one of the clearest messages, you know, if you're without sin, throw the first stone. Kirk also went on to joke about including ads as part of the execution, saying they should be sponsored by Coca-Cola. On a show in 2023, he also said that former U.S. President Joe Biden, whom we strongly disagree with, should honestly be put in prison and or given the death penalty for his crimes against America. Whether you subscribe to none, some, or all of Kirk's rhetoric, I hope we can agree on at least one thing. None of the statements above are Christ-like in any way. The God I serve does not believe that I, as a black